box and you click on new. When you click on new, you can click on part. Then when you click on part, OK. So you click on part, it's going to generate the interface for you. Now you have to go to surfaces on your feature tree, your feature manager. You go to surfaces, then you click on surfaces. Then you can start by sketching on any of the plane, but for a start we'll be starting with the front plane. So click on your front plane and you click on sketch. So once you click on sketch, you draw. I like to always start with a center line. So you click on your line tool and you draw your center line. So after you've drawn your center line, I'll just use any of these tools. Let me use the 3-point arc tool. So I use my 3-point arc tool to create an arc. I create my arc. I want to create relationship. I want to create some relationship now. What I'm going to do is to click on one edge of this and click the other edge, holding my control. Then I say make horizontal. So I've made horizontal. Then I come to my dimension. Coming to my dimension, I can just give it dimension of 50 mm. So now what I will do is to revolve this. Go to my surface and said extrude surface. So I extrude surface. I would like to use blind mid plane. So when I click mid plane, I will increase. Let's make it 150. I've made it so you can see that it has increased 150 by this side. That's it, divided 150 into 2. So you have it by this side and this side. So you can click OK. Now when you look at this, you discover that there is no thickness generated here. There is no thickness generated here, which is actually nice. Unlike your solid modeling that generates thickness for you, that you can give it a depth. So now what I want to do is to create this also. Create something similar to this on my front plane. So I go to my front plane, click on sketch, and let's say let me mirror this on my front plane to create this same effect on my front plane. So I'll mirror this on my top plane, I mean. So I click on top plane, go to mirror. Now you won't see any mirror in this your surface, so go to features and click on mirror. So when you click mirror, you click on what you want to mirror, which I want to mirror this. Now go to bodies to mirror. You can see I've been able to mirror this on the other side, and I said, so it's asking me to merge surface, click surface, because the surfaces are not touching, so there's no need merging those surfaces. I click good. Now you can see that I've been able to create the same surface with the same features in the other side. Now on my front plane, I want to create another feature. So I click on front plane, I click sketch, and I control 8 to make it align to my horizontal. Now you'll be asking me, this thing is not equal. So let's exit this sketch. I want it to be at the middle. So I can click on this, go back to the previous sketch, and click on this and said make symmetric. So if you go back, now you discover it's on the middle. Let's create a plane on the front plane now. So you discover it's on the middle. So after doing this, you can click on your 3-point arc. You create something like this. So after creating something like this, make sure the two ends are vertical. So once they are vertical, you can align this to the center, merge it to the center, coincident mate. So you can choose to give this a dimension. Let's give it a dimension to be safe. Let's say 100 mm. So it's 100. You can choose to give this a radius. Let's say radius of 100 also. Oh, okay. Okay, let's say radius of 150. Hmm? That's fine. Radius of 150. Then I want to extrude surface now. Extrude surface and mid plane. Put it to mid plane. Now you can see that it's cutting through this. So I think that's it. It has cut through this. Now I click 150 also. I click OK. Now I mirror this same thing in the other side. So since I have to mirror it on the right plane. So I click on this, go to my features and mirror entities. Then I select the bodies I want. This you can see that it's appear in the other side. Now I want to create another edge by this side. By this side, I want an edge by this side. So what I will do is to Control 7 to make it isometric. Then I'll come to my top plane, sketch, Control 8 so that I can view it properly. Then I'll come to my 3-point arc. All I'll just have to do is to create a curve. 3-point arc. Click on one point, click on the other point, make horizontal. So you can see there is horizontal. Now I want this to be symmetrical. So I'll have to create a center line. So when I create a center, I click on this end, click on this other end, and click this. And I say symmetrical. You can see that it's symmetrical. Now, since this is symmetrical, I can give this a dimension. So what I'll do, I click on this middle and click on this and give it 60 as my dimension, which that's not bad. I can increase this. Let's make it 400. So that it comes out a bit. Now what I'll do is to extrude surface. Extrude surface mid plane. Let's leave it at that 150. So okay. I think I've been able to cover that side. This it. This it. This is just to give you an idea of what extrude does for me. So select. So now I want to mirror this face also to the other side. So I go to features, mirror. I select the face. Okay, they're asking me for the place. So I have to mirror this on my front plane. And I select this body, this face I want to mirror. And when I click OK, I have it in the other side. So if you see this is what we are having now, it is actually it's not looking nice. But now we have to trim some entities. So we go to our surfaces and you can see trim surface. That's what we call the trim surface there. So when I click trim surface, it's asking me what do I want to use as my trim, what I want to use as my trim. So I can click on this and this also. Okay, let's click on this. So I want this to be as my trim surface. So when it trims, they say faces to remove selection. So once I click on this as my trim surface, yeah, now you can see where it's removing. So all these spaces, I want them to be removed. So you can see it's removing them. You can see, I think I'm okay with that. So when I click OK, those parts are out. Are you seeing it? Those parts are out. I can also apply this to this same face. Let's go back to this tree. There's something I want to remove. Okay, nevertheless. So let's go back to trim surface also. I click on this face. Then I want to remove this. 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 Understand? I think that's all. So I click OK. I've been able to trim that part. I see it is looking It's looking better now. I think it's looking better. So I also go back to my trim surface. Trim, okay, trim surfaces. So I want to use this face. Okay, let's use this face to trim. Okay, let me use this to trim. So it's asking me where do I want to remove. I want to remove this. I want to remove this. I want to remove this. And I want to remove this. So let's go to our okay. So you can see that those aspects are gone. Yeah, they are out, out, they are out. So let's go back to something. There's something I want this out too. There's this face here, but it's so. Let's just exit this. Now let's apply the same trim surface on this face, and then remove this part. Remove this part also. Then I think I need this part to be out. I need this part also to be out. This is just in a bit to just explain what extrude. We'll do a more complex, understand, a more complex example later on. So now, okay, let's do with the surface now. So trim. So it's asking me for the surface. I click on this surface as my trim. Then what do I want to remove? Now look at it. I want this part out. I want this out. I want this out and I want this out. So you can see we've been able to establish this. So you can see that they are out now. You can see that they are out. So now apply trim surface also to this face I want. And I want this out. I want this out. I want this out. I want this out. And you can see we are having a more sweet and a more sweeter nice surface. Now, one of the disadvantages of this is that when I section this, you discover that it doesn't have thickness. It doesn't have a thickness. You understand? And inside is hollow. So now, and I don't like the edges. The edges are not that nice. So I can apply my fillet. Look at your fillet here. So this is your fillet. You can apply it to this edge. Now, let's go to our normal fillet and apply to this edge. So now you discover I can't apply fillet to this. Why? Because these faces are separate faces. For me to apply fillet, I have to knit. There's what we call knit surface. I have to knit all this together. In another way, it's just to join the bodies, the surfaces together. So I'll say knit surface and I'll click on all this. So I will say create a solid and merge entities. Click on these two. This gap control is actually the gap each face has with the other one. For now, we'll not go through that. So I click OK and you'll see on your feature manager tree, there's clean surface 1. That means all these surface now, they are now one solid body. If I still section it, you discover that now it is what? It is it is hollow. Do you understand? It is not hollow, I mean. It is not hollow. It is now a full solid. But should in case I don't want it to be a full solid, I can go back to this clean surface and edit feature. When I edit feature, I will remove create solid and click OK. Now, if I should section this, you discover that it is hollow. You understand? It doesn't have thickness as compared to the previous one that it was. I click solid. Now, if I should apply fillet to this, you discover that I can now fillet the edges. So let's apply fillet and see what happens. So we'll apply this constant size fillet. That means the radius is constant. So What are you seeing now? You can see that I'm able to apply what? Fillets to the edges. I'm able to apply fillets to all these edges. Why? Because the surfaces are now knitted together. The surfaces are now knitted together. They are now joined together. It's no longer a single surface but a one surface. I just hope. Okay, okay, look at this other edge. No, there are also better ways of selecting this. This just to show that we are selecting all the edges, but there are better ways of selecting it. So nevertheless, I think the radius 10 is okay, so we click OK. So you see we've been able to create something like this, a product like this, which might not be much, but we've been able to establish the use of extrude surface and our trim surface, what our trim surface helps us to do. I hope that you got value from this simple exercise. So thank you very much. I think that's all. You can actually change it to shaded face so that you don't see the edges. You understand? Change it to shaded face, you don't see the edges. You can also render it. You can render it. Take it to SolidWorks visualize and render it. You can apply materials to it. I wouldn't want to waste more time doing that, but I think this is okay. So I think this is okay.